Hey, this is the second part of the lesson on how Germany got defeated in Europe. Alright, and we are talking about US entry. Now, you need to know a little bit of the background. US is the most dominant power in the world at that time. It is surrounded on both sides with large oceans. That means they are isolated from the turmoil of the world. They can develop peacefully. They have developed the most advanced economy at that time. They also have developed the largest civilian industrial production capability of the time as well. In other words, US is a sleeping giant, a giant in which would turn the tide of any battle towards any side, depending on who they choose to join. They participated in the war through firstly indirect means and then subsequently through direct participation. Um, You've been wondering why is America involved in the war? Because from the LN chapter, you would have known that America has a policy of isolationism. Well, uh, I will explain that. Explain that very soon. Okay, America was involved in the war through indirect means. That means they are supplying weapons to the Allied forces to defeat the Nazi Germany because Roosevelt, the prime minister, the president of America, saw America as the arsenal of democracy. That means America should be the supplier of weapons to democracy to protect themselves from fascist non-democratic states such as Nazi Germany. Okay, how did they supply the weapon? They started off with cash and carry. That means you pay me the money, I let you carry away the weapons, I supply you the weapons. You should know that that didn't happen for long because France was quickly defeated and then Britain was standing alone. It has an ocean surrounding it. It has the Nazi submarines trying to sink their war supply. The Nazis are basically trying to starve Britain, right? And the Battle of Britain was successful at the start for the Nazis. Britain basically didn't fare very well at the start, and therefore would not have the money to continue buying weapons. Okay, and then slowly the policy changed from cash and carry to land lease, alright? With the Land Lease Act, with this law called Land Lease, that means uh, America is legally allowed to lend um, the Allied forces weapons, okay, to have them pay back later, okay? So in the end, the Americans spent $50 billion to support its allies, okay? That's a number for you. And what is its impact? It basically helped the allies, principally Britain, survived, okay? And as you know, if Britain survived, it didn't starve to death, it exists. It was used as a staging ground, a launching pad to launch D-Day, alright, which subsequently allowed the Allies to invade Nazi territory, invade Germany, and then Germany surrender. Okay? Um, this indirect support by supplying weapons also allows subsequently the Allies uh, to to have weapons in their possession uh, more numerously than the Germans. Okay, basically allowing them to overcome the German military and then therefore win the war. Okay, now the indirect support land and lease cash and cash and carry first, then later land lease was not only extended to Britain, it was extended to USSR as well. You must be thinking, hey, arsenal of democracy, USSR is not democratic. Yeah, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend, correct? USSR is fighting Nazi Germany is fighting United Kingdom, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. The arsenal of democracy extends to USSR as well. Later on, Germany declared war on USA after December 1941. What happened in December 1941? You have Japan declaring war on USA, and then because Germany is an ally of Japan, Germany crazily declared war on USA as well. it couldn't defeat Britain, it couldn't defeat USSR, it decided to declare war on USA. Okay, that means USA is free to enter and involved directly in the war. That means they would have troops on the ground fighting, shooting, and killing Nazi soldiers. Now that drastically changed the development of the war because US is able to contribute their vast resource and manpower directly this time. Again, they are the largest producer of goods. That means their factories, when converted from military production, would be able to overwhelm the Axis powers, right? The Axis power that will be principally Germany, Italy, and Japan. The large number of US forces sent to aid Allied campaigns also help, right? If you were to include US and Allied forces numbers, able them to overwhelm, right, the numbers which the Axis powers could supply. Okay, that solved the Allied problem of military shortage. Okay, now very importantly is US participate in planning and execution of Allied military strategies, right? They not only contribute manpower, but they participate and coordinate strategies, right, together with the Allied. Okay, one important contribution of America to the overall Allied strategy would be long-range bombing of German air bases, alright, as well as the hunting of German submarines out at sea. Okay, that has significant impact of Allied strategy. Okay, the reason is because, going back to this slide, okay, this couldn't have happened if the Luftwaffe and their air bases are existing. This couldn't have happened if you have German submarines all over the place sinking ships. Okay, if the Luftwaffe and their air bases are existing and is strong in numbers, the German Air Force is able to harass the advancement of the Allied. Right? If the submarines are strong everywhere, basically the supply of equipments to the Allied will be hindered. That didn't happen because the Americans contribute to the hunt for the submarines and to the long-range bombing of German Air Force and German air bases. Okay, principally, this couldn't happen. This is D-Day. This is the crossing of the English Channel. This couldn't have happened if the Air Force and the submarines are around to disrupt Allied advancement. Okay, now, so basically, when US contribute their vast resources and when US cooperated on the overall Allied strategy, the Germans could not win the war because they are fighting an enemy that's stronger than themselves, and then in the end became overwhelmed and overcome. Right? Now, the war is beyond just US involvement. US involvement is significant, but let's not also forget the contribution of USSR, the contribution by Britain, as well as the resistance movement. Resistance movement refer to these people you see here. They are ordinary citizens in Nazi-held territory, but they refuse to surrender to the Nazis, and then they go underground and then they sabotage the Nazi forces, weakening them. Okay, USSR, you should know that by now that Germany in 1941 invaded USSR, created an enemy unnecessarily in the Eastern Front. The USSR was able to recover and ultimately fight back, as mentioned just now, because of US indirect participation, Lend-Lease Act. Okay, but very importantly is USSR was able to reorganize their forces. Okay, they were losing significantly at the start. Summer 1941, they were losing. The Germans had an upper hand. They had momentum. They were pushing the Soviet Union troops back, but they were able to reorganize, re-equip, partially thanks to US support, but significantly also because of the bravery and the leadership of the leaders and soldiers in USSR to by winter, right, on 1941, able to push back the Germans. Alright, just now I mentioned about the winter, but the winter is just a factor. Okay, no matter how bad winter is, if you don't have USSR reorganizing, okay, the Germans would not be pushed back. Okay, and remember, it's very important because the squeezing of Germany, okay, happened from different sides. The push by USSR on the Eastern Front contributed to a significant part of the squeeze, which led to Germany surrendering. Okay, and you have British resistance as well. British resistance, as mentioned, it's not difficult to understand. Imagine your house, your family and friends being attacked by the Nazis. You will be angry. You will be very committed to defeat the Germans. Alright. Lastly would be the resistance movement. The resistance movement is, by as mentioned, civilians, people who were caught within Nazi-held territory, for example, France and Poland. These people who are civilians like you and me, they went underground, they decided to gang up against the Nazis. They provide vital information and be behind the line support for the allies. This vital information, like for example, telling the British and the Americans and the Russians where exactly the Nazis are, where are their hidden spots, where to attack. All this information helped the Allied forces weaken the Germans significantly. If they are not giving information, they are also actively resisting and sabotaging the Nazis. Alright? Allowing or resulting in the Nazis being significantly weakened again before facing the Allied military. Alright? So all this, the US entry into World War II, okay, their strong, industrial capability resulting in strong and stable supply of raw materials, and their willingness to coordinate and cooperate in Allied strategy overwhelmed the Germans. German weaknesses and miscalculation, right, itself make them weak, which allowed the Allied forces to have an upper hand. And Allied resistance, okay, you're talking about the commitment of the British, the ability for USSR to reorganize and then push the Germans back, and the bravery and contribution by the resistance forces, the civilians, alright, who were caught in in Nazi-held territory, alright, weakened the Germans as well, resulting in the push and the strangulation, which subsequently resulted in German surrender. Okay, please revise all these points, and then I'll see you in class.